Welcome back, everyone. You are tuned in to the 2023 AWS Hybrid Cloud and Edge Innovation Day. I'm your host, Jeff Mershak. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect on our Department of Defense Air Force team. And now to this segment, we're going to talk about private mobile networks. We've all been hearing about 4G, 5G, and so I'm really excited to hear about this. And I have my guest here, Priyanka. Great to see you. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jeff. I am Priyanka Jindal, and I'm a Principal Product Manager in our EC2 networking group.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about private networks. This is a space that's still up and coming, but I think it's one of the most underrated overall changes in private networks. I know a lot of customers are interested in it. I know it's opening up a lot of possibilities. Fill us in.
Yeah, what we are seeing is an explosion in the number and type of devices that businesses want to connect today. Everything from mobile devices, security cameras, autonomous robots, IoT devices, machinery equipment like forklifts, and so on. And what that has meant for enterprises is that issues with network coverage and quality of service have persisted, becoming more common. Traditionally, customers would use wired networks or wireless networks, but in some of these use cases and environments, that's not practical anymore. It's not always easy to do trenching or lay cabling with wired networks, and wireless networks can hit performance limits. So take the case of when you have to do network coverage for large indoor spaces. Like warehouses with lots of metal and obstruction.
Well, we take for granted like just setting up a router somewhere and it takes care of our whole house. But in the enterprise, there's a whole team that comes up and does a huge site survey, depends exactly where the AP points need to be. I get it, yeah.
Yeah, and that extends to large outdoor spaces like entertainment venues. Then there is, there's the case when the connected devices are constantly on the move, for example, with employees holding tablets at a logistics facility or mobile cameras at a sporting event. And then you also have to ensure consistent performance in terms of latency and bandwidth for real-time applications like video streaming or automating tasks in a manufacturing site. And this is where we are seeing an uptake of private LTE and 5G networks amongst enterprises because they're looking at it as an alternative that can complement their Wi-Fi networks.
Yeah, it's nice to see that. At first, people think 5G it's just 1 greater than 4. It's the new thing, but it's so revolutionary. It's going to open up so many possibilities. You had some good ideas there, but I'm thinking like VR, like remote VR, being able to direct someone to maybe operate on someone or to fix a car or something like that. Having your VR on the road, on the side of the road, fixing something. But you did mention, we talked a little about the Wi-Fi networks and 5G. How do those relate? Are they replacing Wi-Fi or how does that work?
Yeah, so we see Wi-Fi and 5G as really complementary access technologies. So we've talked to customers who see the need to connect IT devices like employee tablets and phones using Wi-Fi, but then they want to use operational technology devices connectivity like cameras or autonomous robots using private mobile networks.
Well, that's important because I mentioned earlier there's a difference between IT and OT networks. And
That's right.
I don't think it's often talked about because they don't want them to talk whatsoever. So that's fascinating, and it sounds like 5G is going to be able to help there. But it's not really replacing Wi-Fi, but it's more complementary, like in addition to maybe adding new features to what's already there.
That's exactly right. And we really see private mobile networks as complementing 5G. For examples, we have heard from enterprises who envision having network deployments eventually where they would allow devices to move freely between Wi-Fi and private mobile networks. Or they would envision having a single security model for their entire wireless LAN, irrespective of the access technology being used.
Oh, that makes sense. So how did AWS start diving in to help alleviate some of this overhead, some of that hard, heavy lifting for our customers?
Yeah, we found that customers were really putting together these different components to build these private mobile mobile networks themselves, requiring a lot of resources and telecommunications know-how, which many of our customers don't have.
It's not just a router, a
It's
5G router. There's a lot of different pieces to it.
There's definitely more to it. And they wanted AWS to come in and help simplify and make it cost-effective to deploy these private mobile networks. And AWS is really well positioned to support the private mobile networking needs of our customers. We have a fully managed service, AWS Private 5G. We also have a program called Integrated Private Wireless, where CSPs can bring their private 5G offerings to our customers. And then we have edge compute services like AWS Outpost servers, AWS Snowball Edge, and AWS NoCall to deliver private mobile edge computing solutions to customers. Specifically with AWS Private 5G, we deliver all the required hardware and software. To your point about it's not just the APs.
Yeah.
So we give customers the entire, all the components that's required to put together their private mobile network operation. And we have designed the service to really work out of the box for customers. We ensure the network is auto-configured when they power on the hardware at their location and ready for deployment within minutes or a few hours, depending on the size of the network. By default, in the US, it works with shared spectrum, so customers don't need even a license to start using the service in the US.
Well, that seems to be a repeating kind of topic, is that AWS with this private 5G is democratizing 5G, making it easier for our customers to implement this, maybe even in a small or even a really large area. You order the private 5G, you get a box of stuff, you plug it in, it's already configured. I can see how that is really helping our customers, and especially with like a proof of concept. If you just want to try it out, maybe this will work. We don't have to go get all that extra education to learn how to set up correctly. Private 5G kind of has you covered right there. So it's been able to offload that heavy lifting, that initial kind of maybe investment into private 5G. Do we have some good examples?
We certainly do. In fact, very recently, the 2023 edition of Lightning in a Bottle Music Festival that's held in California, the networking team of our customer, DDR.Live, they wanted a private networking solution that could complement their existing point-to-multipoint wireless network.
Well, that's interesting because we were just talking about maybe large metal warehouses, and now we're talking about
a really large entertainment venue.
An outdoor thing that's probably going to only be there for a week or two and then needs to be torn down. So this is interesting. I'm excited to hear about this.
And you're exactly right. This is where the needs they brought to the table was how to overcome the unique physical challenges that the event location posed, which they have experienced in the past over the events. We recently sat down with that team to hear about how AWS Private 5G helped them address their needs. We can take a look at the video where they talk about it.
Cool. Yeah, let's roll that video.
Hello, my name is Michael Kenworthy, and I am the president of DDR.Live. DDR.Live is an entertainment technology company that provides products and services to a variety of events organizations. For Lightning in a Bottle 2023, we partnered with DoLab to take their existing network architecture and improve it to satisfy the needs of their point-of-sale, access control, and other critical systems. Lightning in a Bottle is an annual music and arts festival held just outside of Bakersfield, California, with between 20 and 30,000 guests. The build crew arrives on site at the start of May and has to create a small city in about 3 weeks. To support their work, the network needs to be available on day one. The site itself presents a number of complexities. For instance, since it's a remote location, there isn't an existing internet connection available that can support the festival's needs. We partnered with a local company to bring a licensed radio backhaul to a permanent tower on site. We then linked that tower to a portable 80-foot tower, which served as our main distribution point. From our main tower, we serviced 5 relay connections and finally provided around 130 points of presence throughout the festival grounds. The site also has a number of obstructions that made distributing that signal difficult. As you can see in the pictures, there's a lot of vegetation and trees, and getting line of sight between various point-to-point systems took a lot of planning. The core members of the networking team have been on the site for a few years now and have spent a lot of time architecting the physical layout of equipment to ensure that we could provide a proper fixed wireless system to the entire festival site. While such a system can satisfy the needs of the festival, there are a lot of challenges associated with it. In the team's after-action report from 2022, we found that there were a select few problems that led to the majority of our issues throughout the festival. That brought the team to ask the question, how could we do this better? How could we mitigate some of the issues that we're experiencing? The first issue we ran into was signal strength. For most sites, deploying a fixed wireless signal wasn't a problem. We could easily get line of sight and establish a strong connection from one of the towers to that location. But in certain cases, the location was either too far away or in a hard-to-reach area. Secondly, as the city is being built, things are constantly moving and shifting. This results in us deploying a site and then having to come back multiple times to slightly adjust it based on what had changed that day. Lastly, we had a lack of redundancy. If anything went wrong with any of the point-to-point equipment or one of the links getting to that location, end users would lose connectivity entirely. Jordan Reed, a network integration architect at DDR.Live, has a strong background in wireless internet technology and has some familiarity with private cellular networks. He suggested we consider looking into the possibility of a private cellular network alongside the fixed wireless system to solve these issues. Going this route would be the team's first experience working with private cellular technology. We were concerned about the complexities of deploying a network core, radios, and handling spectrum grants. On top of this, we weren't prepared to make a full investment in a costly system, which would require reconfiguration each time we needed to make use of it. Soon into our investigation, we came across the AWS private 5G system and realized it might be able to solve our issues in a reliable and flexible manner. Once we made the decision to leverage the system, we were able to order the radios and SIMs within a few minutes. When we started the deployment, we were able to get it functioning within a few hours, with the majority of that time dedicated to getting the backhaul and distribution tower set up. The radios themselves were configured in the cloud within minutes and went live within about 20 minutes of powering on. Due to the speed that we could deploy these radios, we were able to blanket the majority of the site with a network connection that could support the build crew within the first day. Getting the system working so quickly greatly helped the network team in the pre-festival phase of the deployment. As various departments arrived on site, we were able to get them connected within a half hour by providing them temporary gateways into the cellular network. This meant that the team could hold off on deploying the fixed wireless network to their location until their build activities were completed, allowing us to deploy everything the right way the first time. Within the few days before the festival, we leveraged the cellular network to quickly connect late arrivals to the site, as well as vendors who sometimes show up within 24 hours of the start of the event. For most, we could simply hand them a SIMmed device and they were all ready to go. For critical systems in hard-to-deploy environments, we could provide access to both the cellular and fixed wireless networks to ensure they could fail over seamlessly in the event of an outage. Lastly, if an outage did occur, rather than having to scramble to root cause the issue and resolve it, we could transition users to the cellular network and give the team the breathing room they needed to properly resolve the issue. Post-festival, the system helped us in much the same way as it did pre-fest. We were able to quickly remove users from the fixed system, allowing the team to start disassembling the network, greatly shortening the time it took to fully decommission the site. The network at Lightning in a Bottle this year was a great success. Compared to previous years and similar events, the team was under minimal pressure and was able to have a much easier time during the execution of the event. The success was a direct result of a lot of improvements to the existing fixed wireless system, as well as the addition of the AWS private 5G system to handle hard-to-solve use cases. Having a simple mechanism to keep users connected no matter where they were, with minimal deployment effort, provided the team with peace of mind and confidence that mission-critical systems would remain functional throughout the entire event. We've found that having a private cellular network alongside a fixed wireless system creates an extremely robust network. We intend to rinse and repeat this deployment for other events in the space, as well as leverage the private 5G technology on its own for other use cases where a fixed system is difficult to deploy or incapable of providing enough coverage. For the future of the festival, we also intend to double down on our usage of AWS tech. Having all of our connected devices available in the AWS cloud unlocks a lot of opportunities for further development, such as remote monitoring and management of IoT infrastructure, or resolving complications with communication systems. We are very excited to see where this technology will go in the future, and are excited to continue partnering with AWS to build the future of entertainment technology.
As you can see, across AWS, we are addressing customers' private mobile networking needs through services like AWS Private 5G, AWS Outposts, and programs like Integrated Private Wireless.
Yeah, I think that was really interesting. As you go to concerts and music festivals, it's not just a DJ and some people dancing. There's a lot of complex networking that needs to go on, and it's refreshing to see that AWS was able to help in this case.
That's right.
So, Priyanka, thank you so much for sharing this private 5G story with us, sharing how we have helped some AWS customers along the way. I appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you.
Everyone, so we are going to take a quick break, and next up is going to be our fireside chat with some AWS folks, myself, and someone from a customer who is implementing some IoT services. You'll be able to hear directly from them, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.